Hi guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel for the Acoustic Shop, your place for all things acoustic.
And Mandolin Central.
Ooh, I like that too. Today we're going to be talking about something very exciting. Gibson has finally got new mandolins out, and one of them is the new reissued F-5G with all kinds of cool new specs. We're going to tell you all about what's new, what's different about it, what specs are standard, who it's for, what you should think about it. We're going to let you know what you should think about it, and we're going to give you a rating system and how we think it compares to like mandolins, and at the very end, a tone sample because that's what you want to hear. Right up ahead. Hi guys, we're back with very exciting news. Gibson is back. They are not out of business. They are still building some incredible mandolins.
Are you kidding me?
If you've been on the mandolin forums, their demise has been, what was it? These rumors of my death are highly exaggerated.
Yes. Guys, here's the deal. Quit going on these forums and listening to the crazy rumors and everybody's opinions on
I gotta say, Gibson did set some of this up. They have a no loose lips policy where we've known about this for about a year, and we got our hands slapped a little bit for giving even a sneak peek of what we thought was coming. So they like to keep it all under wraps, and I think that left a void where people were like, I guess they're done. They must have shut down
Maybe they should have just done a little more talking.
That is not the truth. They were working like little elves in the Santa's workshop, building these incredible mandolins in the dark of night. No, it was just an analogy. Anyway, one of the two mandolins. Let's first make that clear that now there are only two mandolins.
They're not short. That's what we're going to make clear.
Make that clear that they are all different heights.
Short.
But there are only going to be two mandolins being released from Gibson now. So there used to be a lot of different models. We carried a number of them. But right now, at least until the foreseeable future, there will be this beautiful 1923 Master model reissue, which we did a full review on that as well. And then the F-5G, kind of their workhorse mandolin, but with upgrades. Ooh. So those are your two options. And we're going to talk today specifically about this F-5G. It has been kind of, and we did a video on this, it is kind of the performer mandolin from Gibson. It's kind of the level that really steps it up to this is like a full performer professional edition.
Yeah.
And a lot of the specs you want. It's got the Sitka spruce top, maple back and sides, but it doesn't have a lot of the extra bling. It's just bound on top, so it doesn't have the binding on the back. And it used to even take a step back from these new ones where it was just kind of a single color on the back, no burst.
Yeah, it was like a chocolate brown with a kind of purplish burst on the front.
And then it did have just a flat fretboard, their standard 1 1/16
the neck
nut
was also
on it.
in that same chocolate brown color.
It had the smaller fret wire with the fretboard extension. I think it was
though.
scooped. It was scooped on those ones.
No,
But no,
that's not true.
that is not. It was just a standard fretboard extension on the F-5Gs. So that was one of our customizations.
Yeah.
But they've upgraded a number of things on this to make it a even better bargain. So we'll start with the basic specs on it, including the price. This comes in at $59.99, so a very reasonable price for a professional grade mandolin from Gibson. Right now it does have the inch and 3/32. So that was one of the customizations we put on when we had a Acoustic Shop exclusive. So the inch and 3/32 also upgraded to a radius fretboard, another one of our customizations. You're welcome. The larger fret wire, also one of our customizations we asked for on that. And then we had the scooped fretboard extension. It was like the Florida extension. Now they're doing like this bird's beak, so they cut it off at the...
or scalloped.
Scalloped or bird's beak is what I think they actually officially call it on there. So we got rid of that fretboard extension, but you got a lot of extra things. And then the back now also has a sunburst. So we had on ours a chocolate burst, but this is just going to be more of the standard. I'm not sure what they would designate that.
I think this is closer to the Cremona burst with a little more red in it. That's what it seems like to me.
So those are all great upgrades for without changing the price. They actually kept the price where it was.
Let's discuss that. I think that is kind of a thing. We knew when we came out with the Acoustic Shop version of the F-5G that most professional mandolin players were looking for 3 major upgrades, and that's kind of what we had done. Scalloped extension, or now we got a gone extension instead of just the scooped. The bigger fret wire, radius board, as well as a wider nut. This is becoming some of the most particular specs for most professional mandolin players nowadays, and now it's a standard on there. So basically what we're telling you is We are the ones
the Acoustic
that
Shoppe exclusive
revamped
is now the
Gibson.
standard. Yes. So no reason for us to order an exclusive anymore because they pretty much covered those things that we wanted added to it. Really also impressed me was just the tone of it. Like you had mentioned when you first played it, Gibson was kind of known for this really deep, woody, almost barky tone to it. They were really going for that deep chop. This has a more balanced tone, very close to what we were playing on that
tone.
one, the vintage tone.
I think it's a mix. I think there's a lot of the modern sound, which it does have that super blunted, low-end bark and roar, which I think a lot of players want. I'm not, not everybody wants the intricacies of these more vintagey sounding mandolins, but I do think a lot of players are loving that super dark. But what I do like about the tone of that mandolin, they brought in some of that distinct character that is, so well known of higher end mandolins.
So tone and playability, very impressed with that. Those are the main specs of it. Now we're going to kind of jump to who is this mandolin for, and we made a whole video on the F-5G, the old version of it, and we included our Acoustic Shoppe custom version. And I really think it is that, and we got some flack for saying this is a professional grade model. They said, well, that doesn't mean professionals can't play a lower priced man. That's not what we meant. It meant it has a lot of those features that you would look for as a professional player once you've really spent time with a mandolin and realize some of the extras that you get out of a wider nut or a radius fretboard, those larger fret wires that last longer and grab a little better when you're noting it. All those things, including the fretboard extension, are things that a pro player would really request in an instrument because it just makes it easier to play your instrument. So when we say it's a professional grade, doesn't mean you won't see players out there with less priced mandolins on stage. It just means this has got a lot of those things that I would look for as a professional. So I would definitely put this as the touring musician would love this instrument. Very easy to play, great tone on it. Also that Gibson enthusiast. I mean, it is a legacy brand, especially in the mandolin world. They pretty much set the standard for F-style mandolins worldwide, going all the way back to the early 1920s. And anybody that's a fan of mandolins is going to be a fan of Gibsons. And this definitely is going to be up their alley or their cup of tea, if you will, which I also will do that. Anyway, yeah, so I think the touring professional, but also the Gibson enthusiast fan, and it's really, when you're talking about mandolin prices, it doesn't have that huge price tag that is becoming common in the mandolin world. A custom built from an independent builder here in the States is going to start around $8,000 and go up from there. And this coming from a known brand like Gibson, coming at $59.99, I think they did the right thing keeping the price where it was. All right, so now we're going to go through our rating system, and we rate these on like mandolins, so like price range, like build quality, like history. So in this price range, we're going to start with the overall tone. I think that, I've mentioned this in numerous videos, Dave Harvey and his crew out there are building some of the best Gibsons tone-wise that have come out of the factory in a number of years. And this, I think, fits my tone a little bit better, which is a little bit more articulate, a little bit more of that mid-range clarity. And that's kind of what I look for in a mandolin, but still has some of that dark. You're gonna stand out in a jam session with that chop. It's gonna cut through really well. So tone, I'm gonna give this one a 4.5.
I agree with that. Actually, I was going to go with a 4.5 or a 4. Maybe even a 4.75. I do think that this does cater more to the modern mandolin tone, so less of that high-end, crisper type of sound, and it does kind of hit its mark pretty well. So I might lean on a 4.75 for that reason. I think it nails exactly who this particular price point speaks to. And
then setup and playability. Their team, maybe it's because they've been working like little elves in their shop, but the setup on it is great. I mean, this one was set up a little high when it came in.
There was some stuff that we had to do, and it's something that we're coming through, and we're seeing this actually quite a bit on some of these high-end mandolins. We've had a couple of pinch nuts that we have had to go through and clean up, but we do that. We always do that with any mandolin that we get in here, as well as this one was set up a bit on the high side. But once we got it down where it should be, it played like a dream. So yes, that action was a little bit high, easy to fix and do. And once it was there, everything else played perfectly. So I give it a little bit of a knock for that. But for me, I would say this falls in about a 4.5 for setup.
I was gonna say this one did come up pretty high on action. It's easy to change that on a mandolin with the adjustable bridges. So I would agree with you right there about a 4.5. But everybody has a different preference. Some people might like that higher action, but we're giving our own personal opinions and you know what those are worth. So 4.5 on the setup and playability for me. Build quality is where those elves have been perfecting their work. This is just, you don't find a mandolin at this price range built as well as this is, and that's called really the fine details of the binding, the fit of everything on it is just about as perfect as you can get in this price range especially.
Yeah, they're really doing a really great job of this. And again, at a mandolin at this price point, I don't know anybody that is doing anything near this.
There's just something to what they do. I mean, even the burst just has this almost like this glow to it that you don't see from other builders. So they have perfected those things. And obviously, you know, they do guitars there in the custom shop. I think some of those Finnish guys probably work on these too. They really know their craft, and it's just a beautiful instrument. I will give this one in this price point a 5.
I was actually going to do a 5. I don't normally always go all the way for that, but I agree with you on this one. Build quality, totally nailed it.
Aesthetics, I think, again, they nailed on this one, and that's where they took it up a step. They're trying to keep the price point down, so obviously they haven't bound the back and sides and the neck and the headstock. So that cuts down some of the price, but aesthetically, they still made it look really attractive, and I think adding that burst, even though it's on the back,
color.
I think that burst on the back makes a big difference when you're the player of the instrument.
I like the overall, everything about that. Like I said, again, this mandolin at this price is such an amazing, you know, what you're getting for that.
Even the bird's beak on it, I think, is just a very attractive way to cut off that fretboard extension. So aesthetically, I'm going to give it a 4.75.
I'm actually going to go all the way up to a 5. I really like the F-5G's new look.
I agree. And then we're going to get to, does it pass the Shoppe sustainable standard? And we've talked about this before. We can't quite confirm that with Gibson yet. We're going to keep pushing to find out that answer of where they get these tone woods. But because we're not able to confirm it yet, we are going to say that this we can't qualify it as passing the Shoppe sustainable. So we plant 5 trees for every mandolin that we sell from Gibson. And then lastly, the thing we've been asking is the overall value, and this is where I think they killed it. And one thing we didn't mention earlier is this came with all these extra features. The pearl nut, wider nut, larger fret wire, radius fretboard, the sunburst on the back, as well as the very attractive bird's beak fretboard extension cut off. I think all those extras on it, they actually lowered the price by almost $500. So this one is coming in lower than the standard F-5G was prior to this.
Yeah, and that's what I think is really amazing. Right now, you're seeing mandolins in this same price range from probably Northfield, that level mandolin. And honestly, I think this just this is a much bigger deal at Gibson. Yeah. I think they killed it with this price
Add to that
point.
It's a U.S. build, legacy brand Gibson name on it. Add those things to that, and it just there's nothing else that compares to it at this price point. I think a 5 out of 5 for what they've done as far as adding features and lowering the cost.
I agree. I wouldn't mark it as a 5. I am totally blown away at what you're getting, especially now, a lower price point with way more features, including that burst finish on the back, high quality woods, and an overall Gibson sound that nobody else matches. At $59.99, that's just a lot of mandolin.
I got to say, our custom shop version of this, when we had it out, which had most of all these features, was at $73.99.
Yeah.
And now we're down to $59.99. So that's a substantial difference when those customizations cost that much more to add to our custom one, and now they're including those in this and lowering the price. So huge kudos to Gibson for doing that. I know they could have come out of the gate having raised their price or doubled their price, but they really thought of the consumer in this one, I think. A lot of people there watching at home will say, what, you're saying a $6,000 mandolin is a bargain? If you haven't shopped for F-style mandolins, then
it really is.
Absolutely is. So way to go, Gibson, on that. So now, the moment everybody's been waiting for, tone samples. Let's play this thing and let you know what it sounds like.
have it, everybody. The new F-5G, the new and improved F-5G. I think it's a fantastic mandolin.
Worth the
Definitely
wait.
one that will surprise a lot of people. If you, there was 2 mandolins that were released on this day, and we actually have it of
Only
this one
2
right
available.
here, which is the 1923 reissue F5.
The master model.
Master model. Incredible mandolin. We also made a video review of that, and you can check that out right here. So if you just push this little button, you'll be able to see the review on both of these mandolins, because you just watched this one, of course. You'll get the chance to see what all Gibson has been up to and check out all the new offerings from Gibson mandolins.